Michael Brangoccio is an artist who has a special passion in his heart for teaching. He has lived in West Hollywood and Chicago and currently resides just west of Des Moines in Boonville, Iowa. He recently took on the task of completing a mural in the new Technology Center at William Penn University. With his work displayed internationally in places like Indonesia, how did Michael come to find out about William Penn University?
I was looking for artists to do exhibits at the Foyer Gallery many years ago, and I Googled Iowa artists, and I saw Michael's work and thought it was incredible, and wrote him and asked him if he'd be interested in doing a show for us.
So I went down there and spoke for about an hour or two, and showed him pictures, and then she asked me would I do a show at the gallery, and so we did that and did a show of must have been maybe 10 pieces or so, big pieces. And there was a big opening and there were a lot of people turned out.
One of the people who noticed Michael's work during his gallery was Jeannie Beery, who along with her husband Joe Crookham of Musco, which underwrites the CRI, saw the potential for Michael to add something unique to the university.
It seems like these days with computer screens there seems to be less and less of actual artist and art, so that part was of interest. But also I think just the interesting combination of the technology part of the building and communication seems to me to be a really interesting combination, and I think Michael's piece of art really represents that.
They commissioned Michael to paint the mural in the new Technology Center. While Michael has taken on projects that were larger than this one, this project presented its own challenges.
Well, it is going to be just the getting it upholstered. That top curve is going to be tough. That and just keeping proportions right, and painting it on site. I mean, you know, being away from my family.
Before he could even begin painting, Michael had to set up the canvas that he would be working on. Michael came to Oskaloosa for 4 weeks during July and August to work on the project. Working on it kept him away from his family, but this time away from home was necessary for him to fully develop his idea.
For me, I think it's important to open up all the doors and windows and see what you can come up with, because good ideas happen from a lot of thinking and a lot of interacting and a lot of what's possible. Because if you start small, you probably going to end small. If you start big, then you get to boil that down to the essentials.
The essentials for this project were a talented artist, support, and the idea. After getting the canvas up, Michael would begin his work, taking ideas from his concept of the design and transferring them onto the large canvas. He started by sketching out the people and making them an appropriate size. But how can you even imagine painting something that's bigger than yourself?
This will be a little bit different because in the past I've done things on panels, and I've worked out a way of if they're a vertical piece, I will put the canvas on the wall horizontally, and so I have to paint sideways. That's a little weird. This is going to be an actual, it'll be painted just right there, so I'm going to be doing it on scaffolding. I like the scale. I like the scale a lot because I think for me, I feel artwork that is larger is more accessible to me. I can I can sort of get into it, So I like to work big. I think it makes a different kind of statement.
The art communicates things, and when we talked with them, we looked through 4 or 5 designs that he developed, and the criteria we said, okay, first of all, we wanted something that the students will like, that's fun, that they'll think is interesting, something that's kind of thought-provoking, and I just think he really came up with a great design that really ties together art and science. And
the actual piece just happened in just a couple minutes. To get there took months of trying this and trying that, and I'm sitting there in front of my computer just throwing images around, coming up with some really crazy ones, and some good ones, I guess. And whenever I'd get one that I thought was reasonable, I would send it to them. And I came up with this one, and it just fell into place.
It's just, on just a personal level, I can get a lot of meaning out of it as well, the way he approaches the different people that are in there and what they represent, and language and communication. And when you look at our global society and all these people from all different parts of the world and how they relate to one another and how important communication is, and for us all to find a better way to get along, I think it's really, really great.
Just you know, everybody involved, you know, the teachers and the students. I think it's just, if the more we can spread the benefit, the more utility the piece will have, and it's better than just painting it and leaving, and you know. So it's a tool. Think of it as a tool that we can, you know, maybe bless other people with. When you're standing there and you're thinking, well, how does the light affect, you know, this particular figure? And the fact that the lighting is from below made it just an enormous difficulty, because we're not used to looking at things that way. You know, so I'm trying to recall the times when you're a kid, you hold a flashlight under your chin, you know? But that was the hardest part. Love what you're doing, but once the piece is done, let somebody else love it, because it will hold you back. And so when a piece is done, I savor the experience, and that it was fun.
Michael discusses the idea behind the painting.
In the piece, there are 5 people. There's one that's really deep into thought, and that person represents a philosopher, if you will. Somebody that really looks at language and tries to get the most out of it. What does it all mean? The woman next to it is sort of dreamily putting her hands into that large bowl of alphabet soup that's in front of her, of all of them, and she's just sort of dreaming about, you know, all of these wonderful things, and she represents the poetic aspect of language. The person next to it is sort of rough and tumble kind of looking guy, and it's sort of represents a fighter, somebody that uses language in a more aggressive way. And there are 2 guys next to it that are sort of conspiring, and they represent people that try to manipulate and to own the language, to be able to change the rules of language to further whatever ends that they have.
While this painting is a tremendous work of art in itself, it also has more long-term implications at the university involving art and communication.
So many times we look at communication, we look at the tools of communication, of websites or texting, or you know, there are many tools that you use, even a pencil, but there are the tools to communicate, but there's also what you're communicating. And so the concept he came up with, I think, really gets that point across of the letters and the words don't mean anything. It doesn't matter how you, what tools you use, but what you're communicating, I think, is what we hope to get people to think about it.
There's so much meaning behind this. I hope they spend a lot of time pondering it, wondering what it means, thinking about how it can affect them in their own life, and that will inspire our students that are artists to dig deeper, to find more meaning in their own work, and will inspire them to go on and become better painters.
While the future looks bright for William Penn, Michael also has other projects on his horizons.
Well, I have 2 projects pending. There is a piece I need to get done right away for a show in Colorado. And then there's the 51-foot piece for the stage in West Des Moines that everything's pretty much in place. I just need to get started on it. Hopefully I'll get to that maybe in about 2 weeks.
So how does Michael hope his work will impact people?
I want them to, the community, I want them to see something unusual happening at the school. You know, let's get involved with that. And Let's, you know, one of my favorite quotes is something from Firesign Theater, said, dig a hole deep enough and everybody will want to jump in. And so the idea is to show people what's possible. It's a group of people, let's see what we can do with what we have. But if you show them that something's possible and that they can do it, then they'll want to do something. They have a desire to do more than what they're doing, to be more than just the sum of their parts.